Romeo and Juliet is one of William Shakespeare's most beloved tragedies, exploring themes of young love, familial conflict, and fate. The play is set in Verona, Italy, and revolves around two young lovers whose deaths ultimately reconcile their feuding families. The story begins with a street brawl between the servants of the noble families of Capulet and Montague, who are sworn enemies. The Prince of Verona intervenes and declares that further breach of the peace will be punishable by death. Romeo Montague, who is infatuated with Rosalind, crashes a Capulet party in hopes of seeing her. Instead, he meets and falls instantly in love with Juliet Capulet. Despite learning that they belong to feuding families, they are undeterred. With the help of Juliet's nurse and Friar Lawrence, who hopes their union might end the feud, they marry in secret the next day. However, their joy is short-lived. Tybalt, Juliet's hot-headed cousin, challenges Romeo to a duel for crashing the party. Romeo refuses to fight, but his friend Mercutio accepts Tybalt's challenge. Tybalt kills Mercutio, and in a fit of rage, Romeo kills Tybalt. The prince banishes Romeo from Verona. Before he leaves, he spends the night with Juliet. The next morning, after a tearful farewell, Romeo departs for Mantua, where he will await news from Verona. Juliet is devastated by Romeo's banishment, but her troubles worsen when her parents arrange for her to marry Paris, a nobleman. She seeks Friar Lawrence's help, who gives her a potion that will make her appear dead for 42 hours. The friar plans to inform Romeo, who will rescue her from the family tomb once she awakens. Juliet takes the potion the night before her wedding to Paris. Believing her to be dead, her family lays her in the Capulet tomb. However, Friar Lawrence's message to Romeo fails to reach him. Instead, Romeo learns of Juliet's death from his servant, Balthasar. Overcome with grief, he buys poison and returns to Verona to die beside Juliet. At the tomb, Romeo encounters Paris, who has come to mourn Juliet. They fight, and Paris is killed. Romeo takes his place beside Juliet, drinks the poison, and dies. Juliet awakens to find Romeo dead. Distraught, she uses Romeo's dagger to take her own life. The deaths of Romeo and Juliet finally reconcile their feuding families. The prince, who has lost kinsmen to the feud, reprimands both families, lamenting the cost of their hatred. The play concludes with the somber acknowledgement of the tragedy that has unfolded, highlighting the senselessness of the feud. Key themes and motifs. 1. Love. The passionate, youthful love between Romeo and Juliet is the play's central theme. Their love is intense and immediate, defying familial and societal constraints. 2. Fate. The concept of fate is woven throughout the play. The protagonists are referred to as star-crossed lovers, emphasizing the idea that their destinies are controlled by the stars. 3. Conflict. The feud between the Montagues and Capulets provides the backdrop for the tragic events. The senselessness of the feud underscores the theme of the destructive nature of hatred. 4. Youth. The impulsive and passionate actions of the young lovers are contrasted with the calculated and restrained behaviors of the older characters. 5. Death. Death permeates the play, from the initial street brawls to the suicides of Romeo and Juliet. It serves as both a motif and a consequence of the intense emotions and actions of the characters. Character dynamics. 1. Romeo. The romantic and impulsive son of Montague, Romeo is initially infatuated with Rosalind but quickly falls deeply in love with Juliet. His actions are driven by intense emotions, leading to both his marriage and his eventual tragic death. 2. Juliet. The young and equally passionate daughter of Capulet, Juliet matures quickly over the course of the play. Her love for Romeo transcends her loyalty to her family. 3. Friar Lawrence, a well-meaning priest who facilitates the secret marriage of Romeo and Juliet, hoping to end the feud. His plans, however, contribute to the tragedy. 4. The nurse. Juliet's confidant and caretaker, the nurse supports Juliet's relationship with Romeo but ultimately advises her to marry Paris, contributing to Juliet's sense of isolation. 5. Mercutio, Romeo's close friend, known for his witty and imaginative speeches. His death at Tybalt's hands propels the tragic turn of events. 6. Tybalt, Juliet's fiery and aggressive cousin. Tybalt's hatred for the Montagues leads to the pivotal duel that results in his and Mercutio's deaths. 7. Paris, a nobleman who wishes to marry Juliet. He is respectful and earnest but is ultimately a victim of the tragic circumstances. 8. The Prince, the ruler of Verona who struggles to maintain peace. His decree of death for public brawls and his lament over the loss of life highlight the consequences of the feud. Conclusion. Romeo and Juliet is a poignant exploration of young love doomed by fate and familial conflict. Through its compelling characters and timeless themes, the play continues to resonate, illustrating the devastating effects of hatred and the transcendent power of love.